Well, I'd like to say welcome to everyone. It's 5:30, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is our July 21st regular Board of Commissioners meeting, so I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. As we get ready to go into the first item on our agenda, which is to open with a prayer and invocation, I think that it's important to discuss a couple of things. One, we lost a former employee that just a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Donnie Fowler passed away after an illness that he had gone, and then we had a long-standing member of our water board, Mr. Tommy Shaw, that passed away recently too. We've lost both of those gentlemen from the last meeting to this, and I know that each family has been dealing with loss over the last couple of years, and it's something that, as we open a meeting, you don't want to have to address, but I think that both those men need to be honored. I know that Donnie served for many, many years for the city of Jasper before he came to work for the county, and served with the county as well before going sick. Tommy Shaw, the owner of Shaw Supply, has served our community in a number of different things. Every time you would call on him to ask him to serve in an area, became just an incredible man, an incredible friend, and it's a void that's going to be difficult for us to ever replace with a person on the board, but you'll never replace him as an individual. So I'm going to lead us in the invocation tonight, if you'll join me. Father, we thank you for just giving us the opportunity to be here, for letting us live in a country and in a community where we can still come before you as we open up and start our meetings. God, we just ask you for guidance and wisdom as we move forward. We thank you for the lives of Donnie and Tommy, and for so many others that our community has lost over the last couple of years. God, we just thank you for what they've meant, how they've helped shape who we are, how as a community, who we are as individuals, and just how the impact that they've had that just cannot be replaced. So we just thank you. We ask you to guide us. We ask you to direct us. We ask that all things that we do be done in a way that glorifies you. And we just ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Elrod, could I ask you to lead us in the pledge? Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sometimes when you have a meeting, you go through the awkward motions to discuss where you're talking about losing people in your community, and then the next item on our agenda is probably equally as tough to go through. I'm going to read a letter that we received from Jerry Barnes. As you can see, that I do have an empty seat beside me. I know that as the agenda was published, many people were made aware. I'm going to read the letter that Mr. Barnes submitted on June the 24th. He says, "Dear friends of Pickens County, due to recent complications with my health, I am regretfully resigning my post as District 1 Commissioner effective July 21st, 2022. After much consideration, I felt it best to step down before the end of my term so I can focus more intently on my well-being. I'm humbled and grateful to have had the opportunity to represent District 1 over these past 10 years, and it's truly been an honor to serve you. I'd also like to congratulate Josh Tippens, the newly elected District 1 Commissioner, and I'm confident that Josh will represent District 1 well. Respectfully, Jerry Barnes, District 1 Commissioner." So we have received the letter. I know that this is a procedure that's not very common, but it is covered within our ordinances. The ordinance for the Board of Commissioners under Article 1, Section 1.5 that discusses vacancies states that in the event that a vacancy occurs with less than 180 days remaining in a term, that the remaining members of the Board of Commissioners should appoint a successor. In this particular case, we just recently went through an election that led to a runoff election due to the fact that Mr. Barnes was not going to seek re-election at that time. So it became kind of an obvious, in my opinion, opportunity for us to recommend the appointment of Josh Tippens to serve the remainder of this year as District 1 Commissioner, and then he will begin his term as his first official term on January the 1st. So I would like to make a motion that we appoint Mr. Josh Tippens to be our District 1 Commissioner for Pickens County. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion about that? All in favor? Aye. Well, congratulations, Mr. Josh Tippens. So we've pulled off something miraculous that probably doesn't happen very often. that we were able to get a judge to come to our Board of Commissioners meeting tonight. We have the Honorable Judge David Lindsey, our probate judge, that's here and will actually conduct the swearing in. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you if you'd like to call Mr. Tippens up.
Very good.
Move forward.
Mr. Tippens, this is your last chance. Come on up, Josh. And if you have someone to hold the Bible for you, excellent. I'll just get you to stand facing that way. And if you will place your left hand, raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible. There will be two oaths, the regular oath and then the loyalty oath. I, and state your name,
I, Josh Pickens,
do swear or affirm that I will well and truly discharge the duties of Commissioner for Pickens County in all matters which require my official action to the best of my knowledge and skill, and I will so act as in my judgment will be the most conducive to the welfare and best interests of the entire county. I have been a resident thereof for the time required by the Constitution and the laws of this state. I do further solemnly swear or affirm that I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money due this state or any political subdivision or authority thereof, that I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States, any other state, or any foreign state for which I am prohibited from holding by the laws of the state of Georgia, and that I am otherwise qualified to hold said office according to the Constitution of the United States and the laws of Georgia, and that I will support the constitutions of the United States and of this state, so help me God, if you will, say I will.
I will.
Good. And a loyalty oath. I, and state your name.
I, Josh Tippens,
A citizen of Pickens County and being an employee of Pickens County and the recipient of public funds for services rendered as such employee, do hereby solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Georgia, so help me God, if you will, say I will.
I will.
Good. Congratulations. Very good.
Appreciate it.
We'll get you your signatures on this.
Mr. Tippens, if you would, join us up front.
And Chairman Stenzel, may I be excused?
100%. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. We're excited to have Josh join us. I would like to ask everyone to please be in prayers for Mr. Barnes, and would like to express my thanks and my appreciation. Known him since I was a small child, and it's been a difficult time, I think, just knowing that he is going through health problems that so many have gotten to know and love Jerry for years. So I would like to ask for you to keep him in your thoughts and prayers as he continues to get better. And with that, we will move forward into the next remaining portions of our agenda. So the next item is now having the need to appoint a vice chair to serve in the Board of Commissioners. And I'm going to open up the floor to either of you to make a nomination for who you would like to have serve as the vice chair.
I nominate Commissioner Josh Tatum to serve as Vice Chair of the Board.
I will second that. Any discussion to give him a chance to squirm out, or? All right, all in favor? All right.
I guess that's it.
Mr. Tatum will now serve as our vice chair to fulfill the obligations of running a meeting in the absence of chair, or in the untimely death or absence of me long term. Thank you very much. So the next item on our agenda is to discuss any amendments to our agenda. I do not have any amendments directly. I know that there are a couple items that we'll discuss when we reach where they are within the agenda, but not to be removed from it. Do you have anything further?
No, sir.
Okay. With no amendments, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Under our consent agenda, there was a proclamation recognizing Big Canoe's 50th anniversary. Big Canoe turned 50 this year. Attended on this past Saturday, town hall meeting held at Big Canoe Chapel, and presented a proclamation at that time honoring Big Canoe. That's Big Canoe in honor of their 50th anniversary and recognizing them for all that they've contributed to our community. So that proclamation was actually read, recognizing that July would be Big Canoe Appreciation Month in Pickens County, Georgia. So that was actually conducted just recently. Old business. This is old business that carries back for a couple of years, and prior to all three of our terms as members of the board that had begun. It's the process at the Tate Depot for accepting the model train donation for the Tate Depot from Mr. Bill Gibson. That is now currently being delivered. They're receiving all of the components and all the parts to try to assemble and get that stuff together. And in order to do so, I think that we need to officially recognize by resolution the acceptance of the model train donation for the Tate Depot. And whereas Mr. William Gibson has offered to donate a custom-built progressive model design train set for the Tate Depot, whereas the model train set was built in Romeoville, Illinois. Now therefore, the Board of Commissioners would like to thank William Gibson and family for the donation, and will accept the donation of the model train set for the enjoyment of the community for many years to come. Do I have a motion to officially accept the donation of the train set?
I'll make the motion.
Accept it.
I second the motion.
Any discussion related to that? I look forward to when this is available to the public for everyone to be able to go and see. I've seen small components, it's incredible. But with that, all in favor? Aye. I believe that means it's unanimous carry. All right, the next item on our agenda is under new business. New business is authorization of the chairman to continue negotiation for the lost local option sales tax on behalf of the county. This is a process that's done every 10 years following the census that the county works with cities and local municipalities to go through and negotiate the lost agreement. We've had our first official meeting. Well, we actually have had 2 meetings, but our first official meeting occurred on Tuesday with discussions related to that. And that's a process that will continue for at least 2 more meetings, unless more are needed as we go forward, with the ability for staff to keep you guys abreast of each and every point that's moving forward. But do I have a motion to authorize the chairman to continue and complete the negotiation process on behalf of the county?
Make a motion to authorize Chairman Sampson to negotiate the loss for the county.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, none opposed. Next item is the EMS Medical Director Agreement. We are required by law to have a medical director available to serve on behalf of Pickens County for over our EMS. I know that Director Elrod has been working closely with Mr. Jonathan Allen. He's a medical director, has served for other counties in that capacity as well, which Jonathan Allen is a medical doctor, licensed and authorized to practice medicine in the state of Georgia, board certified emergency medicine by the American Board of Emergency Medicine. Whereas the county desires to contract with the medical director to provide medical direction services to the county as more specifically set forth herein. The medical director will be an independent contractor paid per the terms of this agreement. No employee benefits will be provided to the medical director, and no payroll or other taxes will be withheld from the medical director as an independent contractor. The county is required under OCGA 311150 as a licensed emergency medical services agency to provide services of a physician to act in the capacity of a medical director or advisor. Therefore, in consideration with the mutual covenants and agreements between the parties set herein, the receipt sufficiently, which is hereby acknowledged by the parties, they agree to the following. The recital services, medical director agrees to perform the professional services medical director for the county provided herein. The medical director shall promulgate clinical protocols, provide clinical direction, and provide appropriate quality assurance of daily operations and training in accordance with Georgia DPH rules. The medical director shall supervise and assume direct responsibility for the clinical oversight of EMTs and paramedics operating as part of the county, and all clinical personnel shall be required to fall under the authority of and shall abide by all medical protocols authorized by the medical director. With this in mind, do I have a motion that we appoint Mr. Jonathan Allen to serve as the medical director for Pickens County EMS?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. We will get this engagement letter back to Mr. Allen and welcome him to the team. Next on the agenda is our finance report. So I will at this time turn the floor over to Ms. Charlene Bunch to present.
For the financial reports, they reflect 6 months of fiscal year 2022, and the expenditure budget should not exceed 50%. Sorry.
One day we're going to sneak and plug it in and it's going to catch you.
The general revenue, as you can see, was $13.3 million, and compared to 2021 was $11.2. The total revenues that were received were $13,308,215. Good grief. At 39.63% of the budget. Our total governmental expenditures for June of fiscal year 2022 was $14.1 million, which is 45.37% of the budget. Compared to 2021 was $10.5 million, which was 36.26% of the budget. Our general governmental expenditures were $1,980,805, which was 39.25% of the budget. This is actually in your packet under section number 4, if you want to follow along there as well. Your judicial expenditures are $1,555,515 and 3.83% of the budget. Public safety expenditures were $7,994,200. I need to just like start all over. 48.77% of the budget. Public work expenditures were $1,779,907 and 47.43% of the budget. Public and health welfare expenditures were $104,271, which was 36.85% of the budget. Culture and recreation expenditures were $549,014, which was 45.74% of the budget. Housing and development expenditures were $336,992, which was 40.16% of the budget. Our American Rescue Plan that we actually received this month was, and we've spent $309,307 of that, which is 9.7% of the budget. And our enterprise funds was $2,274,400, was 59.32% of the budget. And I just want to clarify on this, the reason that the water department actually has 62.89% of the budget is we actually have implemented doing purchase orders that are open purchase order, blanket purchase orders and cover, so that way when they process their invoices, it would be a more timely process. So that's why you see this percentage a little higher than normal. We're doing purchase order processes where it will encumber the funds, and then as time goes by, those purchase order encumbrances will lower by the end of the year. With that being said, line item expenditures reports were distributed to department heads and elected officials on July 14th, and I actually have a copy of all those if you'd like to see those.
Good, thank you, Sean. Any questions? One thing to point out on the American Rescue Plan funds that have been received, we had pre-approved last year several water projects, and those have been rolling through, which included the purchase of pipe in order to complete a loop on Mullinax Road on the west end of the county in the Hill City area. So that process has been going. They've been purchasing the materials. Philip and his team have been doing an incredible job with battling water leaks at the same time of installing new pipe, or preparations for installing new pipe. So that's where that direction has gone. I haven't bragged on him in a meeting before, so I figured tonight would be the first. I would try to make sure to do it.
Since I was watching the budget.
So. All right, thank you, Sherman. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our action items. We do have two different sets of minutes, both from June the 2nd. We have the regular meeting on June the 2nd and our work session. Those minutes were provided to the board prior to the meeting. I know Mr. Tate and Mr. Tippens coming up as this came forward. Has possibly not had a chance. If you need a few moments to read through them again, I don't know if you had a chance just before we walked in to glance through. With that in mind, do I have a motion to approve our minutes?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, next on our list is our rezones. We'll work our way through the different rezones that we have for tonight. Before we go through the list, anyone that was reviewing the agenda prior to coming in, I will explain there are two items that are listed on here. One has actually withdrawn. I'll explain that as we get to that point and as to how that process took place. The other is on a variance, and it's more just to inform the Board of Commissioners. The variances are heard by the Board of Appeals. The Board of Appeals has the final authority on making that decision. It doesn't go before the Board of Commissioners for a vote when there's an item. If there's a challenge to a variance decision, that goes before the Superior Court. So when we get to that one, I'll explain that as well. First item that we do have on the agenda is a request for change in land use classification on parcel 018051002, which is located at 133 Townsend Road in Talking Rock. The Pickens County Planning and Development Office received completed application on March the 4th from Susan Barker, requesting a change in the land use classification of highway business to rural residential on a .92 acre tract located at 133 Townsend Road, Talking Rock. The intended purpose of the rezone request, if approved, was to obtain residential mortgage on the property. Public hearing was held on the 20th of June 2022 regarding this application in the Pickens room of the administrative building. And after reviewing the application and receiving the staff report recommending the rezone to be approved, the Pickens County Planning Commission voted 3 yes, 0 no to approve the rezone request. With that, I would like to entertain a motion to follow the guidance of our Planning Commission and recommend approval of this rezone request. Do I have a motion?
That's so moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion related to that? Motion carries. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. When you have a 3-person board and you have a motion and a second, it sometimes feel like that's a vote even though they're different items. So the next item that is on the rezone request is the one that was listed as Big Canoe Holdings. Big Canoe Holdings applied, went through the Planning Commission, went through the process. There was an administrative error in the way that was advertised and the way that the information was put on the sign in terms of advertising the meeting date. Because of that administrative error, we have reached out to the applicant and let the applicant know that we would need to hold another hearing on their behalf. It's not an issue. The applicant didn't do anything wrong on their end. It was an administrative error on our side that we were able to correct, but it does need to go back through the correct process so that it can be heard again in a public hearing before coming for a vote. So we're going to remove that from our agenda tonight. It does not penalize him as an applicant to make him delay because it wasn't denied for any reason. It was just an administrative error that led to that for the advertising. Next item on the agenda is a rezone request from Ms. Trena Jones at 117 Cagle Road, parcel 064055, a request to move from agriculture to rural residential. The Planning and Development Office received a completed application on May the 23rd requesting a change in the land use classification from ag to rural residential on a 1.11 acre portion of a 37.89 acre tract located at 117 Cagle Road. The intended purpose of the rezone request, if approved, is to combine a 1.11 acre parcel located at 161 Cagle Road. This parcel is currently zoned rural residential. A public hearing was held on July the 11th before the Planning Commission. After review of the application and receiving the staff recommendation to approve, the Pickens County Planning Commission voted 5 yes, 0 no to approve the rezone request of the 1.11 acre tract contained on tax parcel map 064055. Do I have a motion to follow the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve this rezone request?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item that was listed was the variance that I referenced before. There was a variance request made by Cherokee Window and Door. That variance was heard on July the 11th by the Board of Appeals. The Board of Appeals recommended denial of the variance request at that time. As I said before, those are final decisions that have to be challenged through Superior Court. If there's any challenge that moves forward with that, is no action needed on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. Next item is guest comments. Do we have any guest comments tonight? Quiet, making this a little bit easier. So at this time, we're going to be moving into executive session. Go through the 3 different items that to be discussed in executive session. Item number 1 is to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview candidates for executive positions. Next item on the affidavit to be discussed in executive session is to discuss or vote to authorize negotiations to purchase, dispose of, or lease property, authorize ordering an appraisal related to the acquisition or disposal of real estate, enter into a contract to purchase, dispose of, or lease property subject to the approval in a subsequent public vote, or enter into an option to purchase, dispose, or lease real estate subject to the approval of the subsequent public vote. The next item is to consult and meet with legal counsel pertaining to pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, or administrative proceedings, or other judicial actions brought or to be brought by or against the county or officer or employee, or in which the officer or employee may be directly involved. At this time, do I have a motion that we go into executive session?
So moved.
I second. All in favor? At this time, we will be going into executive session at 5:58.